New York's commie Mayor Mamdani urging state lawmakers in Albany to push a new 2% tax hike. Excuse me, it's a 2 percentage point tax hike. It's actually a 52% increase in taxes
I saw that
on millionaires, arguing higher taxes on the wealthy are the only way to close the city's $12 billion budget gap.
The most straightforward ways of dealing with this are structural measures, whether it be the taxation of the wealthiest New Yorkers, increasing taxes on the most profitable corporations, as well as by ending the drain, the relationship between the city and the state. We want to create a new era of politics where it's not just a debate about how to distribute the same pie, but how we can actually grow that same pie.
Joining us now, Fox News contributor DeRoy Murdoch and the Federalist reporter Brianna Lyman. Good to see both of you. DeRoy, I'll start with you. As Dagan pointed out very rightly, it's a 2 percentage point increase. But if you look at that relative to the existing tax rate, that's like a, what did you say, 52%?
About a 52%.
Okay, now he's trying to pass it off as like a teeny tiny little thing that's going to hit the wealthiest. I don't know. Is there any shred of truth to what he's saying, or is this the kind of thing that drives folks out of the city and out of the state?
Yeah, no, as Dagan said, there's a fundamental dishonesty about the numbers here. 2%, oh, that's small, that's no big deal. But when the tax rate is about 3.8 and you add 2% on top of that, you go from 3.8 to 5.8. That's not a 2% increase, that's about a 52% increase. And I think the advice I'd give is if people happen to live in Texas, Tennessee, or Florida, get ready to have a lot of New Yorkers as your neighbors. Because people are gonna look at this and say, you know what, I don't wanna pay 52% more tax, I'm out of here. And these are the kind of people who have the resources to get up and pack up and leave. The only way this sort of thing works is if you have the courage to surround New York City with a big wall and put barbed wire on top. And I hope that doesn't happen. I think it's been tried before, not very successfully.
New York State, the city, including the state taxes, already has the highest marginal tax rate in the nation. So he wants to make it bigger rather than actually trying to trim some of the services. He's just, it's never cut, it's always hike.
Right, and then he says, what else could we do? I have an idea, your free bus idea. We already know that other places like Kansas City, for example, they had free buses. They just recently said, we're gonna have to put those fees back because we have a budget problem, right? So Mamdani could actually make internal changes that would, resolve some of this issue. And DeRoy, to your point, capital is very, fungible. It's going to move. It's going to go. California has already seen an exodus. Mark Zuckerberg, I believe, recently just bought a place down in Florida.
Sure
people
did.
have the money and the resources. They're going to use it. And the only people who are going to be hurt are New Yorkers who actually depend on the business that they bring into New York City.
Yeah, I mean, he's closing his budget. He had a $12 billion budget problem, he said. And then he said, oh, actually, it's only going to be 7 because Wall Street's going to pay 5 on that. So he's got math issues as well. I want to move on to this. The Save America Act, which passed the House last night with only a single Democrat supporting it. The president addressed this earlier today in the Oval Office. Take a look.
It's got 3 very simple points. It's got voter ID, photo ID, but voter ID with a photo, right? It's got the confirmation of U.S. citizenship. You have to be a citizen. And then you have no mail-in ballots. And there would be no mail-in ballots.
I mean, DeRoy, everybody likes this in America. Democrats, Republicans, independents. The only people who don't are Democrats who happen to be in Congress right now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Democrats across the board don't like this. They seem to oppose any and every effort by the GOP to make our elections more safe, more secure, more believable, more reliable. And a lot of people show ID and they'll say, oh my God, that's so racist. Every time I go to the airport, they ask me to show ID and they never say, oh, you're black, just get on the plane, it's cool.
Very racist airports.
Racist, bigot, the total bigots at the TSA. And the idea that black people somehow can't get ID cards because we're just not smart enough or we're not prepared enough, that's racism, that's where the racism is. So yeah, if you want to vote, great, get your ID, you gotta be a US citizen. And I like the idea of people going back to voting at the polls, not all these mail-in ballots flying around all over the place, who knows who gets them, who fills them out, et cetera. And I think most of the vote fraud comes from mail-in ballots. We need to get away from that and back to voting in person, show your ID, make sure you're an American citizen, and then you can vote in the elections.
Right, and the accusation of misogyny is that simply women are too stupid to have a valid ID with their name, like if they get married, their name with their name change on it. But I'm going to use that when I go to the airport. I'm going to go Misogynist. You asked for my ID. Woman hater.
Well, it's just funny. Democrats couldn't figure out what a woman is apparently up until now. Now that they have to actually say, well, women are going to be disenfranchised by this.
Women are people who can't figure out
Right,
IDs. That's how they define
It's
a woman.
actually, it's so insulting. The same with Roy. It's insulting to say black people or women. But American elections have to be decided by Americans. And do you know the only thing standing between a non-citizen and our free and fair elections is a tiny square box in the federal registration form that says you attest under penalty of perjury you're telling the truth. It's the honor system is what our free and fair elections hinge on. And so the idea that Biden can let in, 20 million illegal aliens, and we can say, oh yeah, our elections are still going to be free and fair. No, we know non-citizens vote. We know in Georgia, just this past December, Melanie Pickett got up in front of the state election board and said, oh yeah, I voted in a few elections in the past, because it's that easy to cheat. So we have to put safeguards into place.
One of the Democrat demands with the DHS funding was to ban ICE from polling places.
Right. It's like, why are they upset about that? Why would illegal aliens or non-citizens be at a polling place on election day if not to vote?
Maybe they shouldn't be there.
Right.
You know, one of the things I hope this legislation does is take a look at faulty registrations in terms of addresses. Some people, I did a piece for the Daily Signal where people are showing up to vote, or they're registered to vote, at a totally abandoned house. It's overrun with weeds and ivy. 19 voters are registered there. Another is 70 people at a homeless shelter in Fulton County, Atlanta. That place has been closed since 2017, almost 9 years, and yet 70 voters are registered there. So we need to look at the addresses as well.
Brianna, while we got you guys, I want to talk to you about the end of Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis. How do you read what's going on with Tom Homan there?
Well, I think there's a lot of questions. You know, Tom Homan made it seem like, well, local officials, county officials are cooperating, but that cooperation is unclear given that Mayor Jacob Frey has basically said, we won and we're not cooperating. I do think that Donald Trump needs to get a better handle on this messaging, because his voters voted for mass deportations, not just mass deportations until a bunch of angry Karens start screaming and crying. So that is actually going to be a big problem. Voters aren't upset with Republicans for not doing something. They're upset at them for not doing enough of what they promised.
Yeah, and I agree on the messages. We need to have ads running, paid ads, not just op-eds or whatever, paid TV ads saying these are the kind of people who've been rounded up. Child rapists, robbers, murderers, multiple murderers in Minnesota. These are very, very bad people. This isn't just grandma taking care of her, babysitting her grandkids or something like that. So we need to get those faces, those mugshots out there, run them nonstop between now and the election.
Katie Couric was interviewing Senator Rand Paul, and she was dismissing the 14%. Violent criminals, 14%. I was like, but you know, I say a sex trafficker like Jeffrey Epstein, who you palled around with and went to his house, he falls into the other category. He's still a criminal.